what time it is. Woo! Oh, it feels good to laugh. Feels really good to laugh. Hi, lovelies. Welcome back to another installment of Storytime with Chris. As I always say, you don't have to watch these videos when they go live. You're more than welcome to watch them. Your downtime, nap time, max, relax, and chillax time, in between time, mean time, scheme time, study time, break time, CP time, any time that you want to hear a highly animated voice bring you wonderful stories of magic, fantasy, science fiction, adventure, and many more in between. We are back. No, we're a bit later than usual, but I took a bit of a nap and needed to recalibrate, so I'm back. We are back in full effect. All right, lovelies, let's go ahead and get started. The last time we were here, Barney had been kidnapped by a rider of the dark, the Rider, as we've known him to be one of the main generals and high lords of the dark, has pulled Barney into the ancient days of Wales, to when Wales established themselves as a country and no longer as an annexed country of Britain. And so we are with Bran, Will, Barney, and the Welsh army against the villainous English in this particular part of the story. So let's go ahead and get started. And no, I don't own the music you're listening to in the background, which is brought to you yet again by Mr. Ambiance. I've been using Symbology Cinematics as well as Mr. Ambiance. Show them both some love. Symbology Cinematics and Mr. Ambiance. MisterAmbience. There we go. I was about to put too many letters. Talking way too fast. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. There we go. Chapter 17. The Train. Simon and Jane left the dunes and crossed the golf course, coming to the wire fence edging the railway track. When they heard the strange noise that rang out over their heads on the wind, a clear, startling metallic clang, like the single blow of a hammer on an anvil. What was that? Jane was very jumpy still. Railway signal. Look! Simon pointed to the lonely pole standing beside the track ahead. I never noticed it was there before. Must be a train coming, Simon said slowly. But the signal's gone to stop. Well, the train's already been by then, Jane said without interest. Oh, Simon, I wish we knew what was happening to Barney. And she broke off, listening as a long, shrieking, husky whistle came on the wind from a long way off towards Tuven. They were standing close to the railway fence now. The whistle came again, louder. There was a humming in the rails. There's the train coming now. But such a funny noise. And they saw in the distance against the growing gray clouds a long plume of white smoke and heard the rising roar, closer and closer, of a fast-moving train. Then it came into sight, round the distant bend, and grew clearer, rushing at them. It was like no train they had ever seen there before. Simon gave a great whoop of astonished joy. Steam! Almost at once, there was a sudden hiss and groaning and scraping as the train came closer to the signal, and the driver flung on his brakes. Black smoke belched from the funnel of the enormous green locomotive harnessed to the long train, longer than any normally on that line, a dozen carriages or more, all gleaming as if new in two colors, chocolate brown below and a creamy, almost white above. The train slowed its wheels, screeching and whimpering on the track. The vast engine came slowly past Simon and Jane, standing wide-eyed and at the fence, and the driver and fireman, blue overall, dusty-faced, grinned and raised hands in greeting. With a lasting long whish of steam, the train stopped and stood still, hissing gently. And in the first carriage, a door swung open and a tall figure stood in the doorway, with one hand outstretched, beckoning. Come on now, over the fence, quickly. Great Uncle Mary! They clambered over the wire fence, and Merriman hauled them one by one up into the train. From the level of the ground, the door was almost as high as their heads. Merriman swung the door shut with a sudden crash. They heard the clang of the signal again as its arm went up and down, and then the locomotive began to stir, a slow heaving, chuffing, rising in speed and sound, with the dunes slipping past outside faster and faster, swaying, rocking, clickety-clacketing, the wheels beginning to sing. Jane choked suddenly and clutched at Merriman. Barney! They've taken Barney, Gummery! He held her close for a moment. Quietly, gently now. Barney is where we are going. Truly? Truly. Merriman led them to the first compartment in the swaying train, its long plush seats quite empty. He closed the sliding glass door behind them and they collapsed onto the padded cushions. That engine, Gummery! Simon, an expert railway fancier, was lost in admiring wonder. King class from the old Great Western, ages ago in this old-fashioned carriage. I didn't think they even existed anymore outside a museum. No, Merriman said vaguely. Sitting there, he looked the same rumpled figure who had wandered occasionally into their lives for as long as they could remember. His long, bony frame wore a nondescript darker sweater and trousers, and his thick white hair was tousled. He was staring out of the window. The little compartment was subtly dark, lit only by a dim yellow bulb in the ceiling as the train dived into a succession of short tunnels and came out beyond Aberdyfi, running again along the river. A small station whisked by. Is it some special train? Simon said, not stopping at stations. Where are we going? Said Jane. Not too far, Merriman said. Not very far. Simon said abruptly, Will and Bran have the sword. I know, Merriman said. He smiled proudly. I know. Rest now and a little and wait. And do not show surprise in meeting anyone on this train, no matter who it may be. Before they could wonder what he might mean, a figure stopped in the corridor outside their compartment. The window doors slid open, and John Rowland stood there, swaying with the motion of the train. He looked spruce and unfamiliar in a dark and rather baggy suit. He was staring at them in amazement. Good day, John Rowlands, Merriman said. Well, fancy that now, John Rowland said blankly. He smiled slowly at Jane and Simon and nodded. Then he looked at Merriman, a strange look, wary and puzzled. Funny places we do meet in, he said. Merriman gave an amiable shrug. Where are you going, Mr. Rowlands? Jane said. John Rowlands grimaced. Shrewsbury to the dentist, and for blood to do a bit of shopping. The train's whistle shrieked and another small station flashed by. They were deep in the hills now, traveling through cuttings, with little to be seen outside the windows but high grassy banks blurred by speed. In the train corridor, someone approached John Rowlands. He straightened, standing back. Simon said politely. Jane heard the warm Welsh voice. Well, here is a nice surprise, then. I wondered who John was talking to, not having seen anyone who knew get on the train at Tuvan. There was a vast question